So, round one has finished of the group stages of the Euros, and I'm going to give my roundup and my thoughts on what's happened so far. And we will talk about the diving and the boring games. So, during this Euros, on my Discord, I have been doing a Super Brew score predictor. So I've put scores down for all of the games of this round. So I'm going to look at the results, I'm going to look at my prediction, and I'm going to kind of do an analysis of each game. I watched pretty much all of them. So yeah, let's get started. Now, Turkey and Italy. Now, my prediction, I think, was Italy are going to win the group comfortably. And yeah, that's basically how it's going to go now. Italy won 3-0. It was a boring game. It was a boring game. I know it was 3-0. I think the scoreline, yeah. Bearing in mind the goals were scored near the end of the game, it wasn't exciting. There was a lot of diving. Namely, the Turkey player diving in the penalty area. And this is going to be starting a theme here. The Turkey player dived, and the referee said, "You dived." Okay, well, why didn't you book him then? These divers need to be going in the book, and it is happening in a lot of these games. But the good thing is, I predicted 3-0 to Italy. So I got my prediction right. Perfect. Next game, Wales versus Switzerland. Yeah, another boring game. It was almost what I predicted. I thought that would sort of be the result, because in my previous video before the tournament, predicting where everyone would finish, I thought it's close between Wales and Switzerland who would get that second place. And a 1-1 makes sense. Guess what score I put on the predictor? I put 1-1. So, spot on. Now, Denmark, Finland. On the prediction of how they're going to do, I predicted that Denmark are going to be the surprise package. Now, I still think they can do it. It's one slip up. However, we obviously had the Christian Eriksen cardiac arrest. I assume it was cardiac arrest because of the way he went down. It was very sudden. So I think that game was a bit of a write-off almost. And what I found interesting actually is because it ended up kicking off, 2 hours later in the end, after the 43 minutes or whatever it was. Now, apparently both teams wanted to play. Both teams wanted to get the game done, and it was tricky because you have to have a 48-hour break, and there's no time to play. The funny thing is, I found that because Finland won, Kasper Schmeichel ended up doing like a talk with someone saying how they shouldn't have played the game. Yeah, but all of you guys wanted to play it just because you lost. But I'm hoping that was just a slip up. And obviously, yeah, I actually put 1-1 on my predictor. Yeah, I actually put 1-1 on my predictor. But hey, that was a loss. Over to Belgium versus Russia, I think this was an obvious result. I actually put 4-0 on my predictor. Belgium versus Russia, I think Russia are just rubbish. I'm sorry if you're Russian, but there's no point in me even talking about this one, so let's move on. England, Croatia. Now, I'm going to have a little rant. Why do people keep thinking Raheem Sterling is any good? Raheem Sterling is basically a rich man's Nathan Redmond. And if you know me, yeah, I do not like Nathan Redmond. He's a useless player. But Sterling, he runs into players. He can't pass. He can't shoot. He scored a goal, and this is the problem. Because he scored one goal, everyone thinks, we justified picking him. Well, no. Okay, fair enough, you're in the right position for that time. But one, the defender pulled out of trying to make an interception. He pulled away and didn't commit. And you kicked it straight at the goalkeeper. It just so happened that his arm flapped and missed it. Raheem Sterling was one of the worst players on that team. However, I was really pleasantly surprised by Calvin Phillips. I think, as most England fans, he did really well. Harry Kane didn't really do anything. But otherwise, yeah, a fairly good performance. But you need to convert your chances. You need to create and put the chances away, because 1-0 to Croatia, yes, it's a good start. There's going to be tougher teams. So, yeah, not a bad game. And I actually predicted 2-1 to England. So I predicted the win, but not quite the result. Austria versus North Macedonia. I think this is a one-way street, wasn't it? And I'm amazed North Macedonia actually scored. But yeah, Austria won 3-1. And I'll be honest, it wasn't a game I watched because I didn't think it'd be very exciting. But I predicted a 2-0 to Austria. So I got the right score difference, just not the result. The actual score. Let's move on. Netherlands, Ukraine. Now, Netherlands, I thought they would have a leaky defence. They didn't. This is what I said. I thought they would win their group fairly comfortably, but they don't have Van Dijk. And he is... You see what he was a part of Liverpool and how they needed him this season. So, yeah. I put a 3-1 to Netherlands. They won 3-2. Goal of the tournament for Ukraine. In my opinion, anyway. In my opinion, it was a cracking goal. Others will say that it's the Czech Republic player that scored that gets goal of the tournament. The Ukraine one was insanely good. The technique was there. But yeah, I think the games with Holland, there's going to be goals. There is going to be goals for sure. And yeah, I predicted 3-1 and it was 3-2. So yeah. Scotland, Czech Republic. Now, Scotland, Czech Republic. I predicted 1-0 to Czech Republic. I thought it would be close. And it probably would have been close. I think the 1-0 would have been right if Marshall wasn't off his line by... He might as well have been standing on the halfway line. I know goalkeepers are taught to be a little bit higher to support and be able to be almost a sweeper keeper to be able to pass the ball back and then they can create something. But, oh my God, he was off his line. Yeah, Scotland. I've said this before. If you're relying on Shea Adams to score, as a Saints fan, knowing a Saints player, if you end up relying on Shea Adams to score, then yeah, you're not getting through. And I did predict Scotland will finish bottom of their group, and I still think that's the case. I really do still think that's the case. They are. I can't see them beating England either. Let's be honest. Sorry, Scottish people. Yeah, I predicted 1-0 to Czech Republic. Got the right result, but not the right scoreline. Here's one of the biggest shocks. This is, I think, one of the biggest shocks. Poland versus Slovakia. Now, with some of the players, Lewandowski, Szczęsny, painful. Szczęsny, one of the reasons why Arsenal got rid of him. Let's just say, summed up. The thing was, they obviously didn't play well enough. And yes, they got a player sent off. But the time the player was sent off was in the... Hang on, let me find it. 14th of June. Yeah, the player wasn't sent off until the 62nd minute. So I know Slovakia scored after that, but even then they've had at least 2/3 of the game with 11 men, and they weren't able to stop Slovakia in that time. So if I was a Polish fan, I would be thoroughly disappointed. No disrespect to Slovakia, because actually Slovakia are a fairly decent team. But Poland should have had that little bit of extra quality to win. So yeah, I think that is a big shock. And actually, I predicted 2-1. I predicted 2-1 the other way round to Poland. So disappointing. Now, my prediction at the start was for Spain was that Spain are going to struggle. I think they will get through on the third place position, but I think they're going to struggle. I think mentally, where are the goal scorers as well? They finished 0-0. That was a really, really dull game. Sweden just held back. Sweden had their chances to score on the counter as well. I predicted actually 2-0 to Sweden. Not the correct result, but I was going down the right way. Now, Hungary versus Portugal, I put it as a 3-1 to Portugal. So I was pretty close. It ended up 3-0 to Portugal. Now, this game I watched last night, or yesterday. I was embarrassed. This was an embarrassment. The diving, Cristiano Ronaldo diving, trying to win a penalty. You had the Hungary players as well diving. This game was stopping every 2 minutes because someone was diving and falling to the floor. These teams should be ashamed of themselves. The cheating was unbelievable. It was. When you get games like this, it's hard to watch because really, really hard to watch because they are not trying to win the game. They are trying to con the referee to win the game. And that is so frustrating, especially... No, not... I say especially at an international tournament. But it's every game they should be trying to win fairly. But at an international tournament, they're not being paid to play. They're probably getting some money, but they're not directly being paid to play. So you should be playing for the pride of your country. But it's one of these things that, once again, the fans are oblivious to. Very frustrating, very frustrating. But Portugal obviously won, and rightly so. Now over to the last game, 1-0 to France. Now I'm predicting France to win this. Bearing in mind they were against a really good Germany team. 1-0. Had chances to get 2-0. Offside though. Germany didn't give as much fight as I thought. But I predicted 2-1 to France. So I got the right result. The right score difference, but not quite the right score line. It wasn't a bad game. It wasn't a bad game. And it's brilliant seeing the likes of Mbappe. Now that I forget everyone else's name. I would say Lloris, but he's just... he's probably the worst player. The likes of Mbappe against Kimmich and things like that. Those sort of matchups are really exciting to see. And it's a shame that there wasn't more of a higher goal scoring match. But I think from round one of the group stage, shocks, Denmark not winning, that's a big shock. And Poland losing, I think that's the big shock as well for me. Those two results are the two that I think they almost went the wrong way to my line of thinking. But otherwise, every other result more or less went the same way as I predicted. So all of you haters out there that were telling me how wrong I was with my league predictions, shove it up your backside. Stick along. After each round, I'm going to do my little roundup, my little review of my thoughts. Hopefully there will be less diving. Hopefully the games will get a little bit more exciting. Hope you're enjoying the Euros. I'll catch you next time.